Hi, everyone. It's Brenda and Lynn. We're back. We are the hosts of Fight the Fupa. Bam, bam. This
Number
is episode
two.
two. Yeah, episode number two. And we're excited to just share some of our learnings with you and answer questions along the way. Maybe not right now because we're not live, but after last week, we did have some people inbox us, and then we will either post some answers or get back to you on the next podcast and just share some more information. So I'm going to pass it off to Lynn so she can introduce herself. She is can we say you're the brains and I'm the beauty? No, I'm just kidding.
We've both got the brains. We've both got the beauty.
Okay, okay, I like that.
Okay. All right. So, my name is Lynn Gordon, and I'm a registered nurse, a certified diabetes care and education specialist, which is a fancy word for a diabetes education trainer. So, for the last almost 3 decades, I've helped people manage their diabetes, and I've known Brenda now for over 25 years, and she's been sort of a
Guinea pig.
part of our my health journey as much as I've been a part of her health journey. So we've supported each other along the way.
I like guinea pig. I like guinea pig. Yes, I have been I was diagnosed as a type 2 diabetic 10 years ago on Valentine's Day, and it was a shocker because at that point in my life, I had been working out and doing a ton of activities and a ton of sports. And the year that I got diagnosed, it was really shocking to me. And thankfully, I had Lynn in my corner, and she's really truly helped me over that this decade of journey of understanding how to deal with a lazy pancreas and
It's
how
been
to
10 years. I can't believe it's been 10 years. It doesn't seem like it.
I know. So today we were chatting about how we would like to share information with you, and I know that Lynn said, well, why don't we kind of talk about like if it's an interview? And I love that because I asked Lynn the same questions over and over and over and over and over, and I heard it, I just wasn't understanding it, or I was in a bit of denial too. I'm not going to deny. So there's a lot of diabetics that get that diagnosis and then they're just in denial. But I do remember one thing that Lynn said to me was that everybody should eat like a diabetic. Everybody should learn how to eat and have their nutrition set up for success of how a diabetic would. And so, Lynn, I'm going to let you take it from here because I know that I had to learn so much stuff of how to even, okay, pardon the pun, eyeball things on my plate of what it should look like. And it was such a great learning opportunity for me to put it into action. It took me a long time to put it into action, but if you can share with us some tips of how people can start to get a grasp and get a hold on weight loss tools for their toolbox, it starts with understanding your nutrition. And for me, I'll never forget you said you can never outrun your fork. I can exercise till all the days of my life, but if I'm not putting the proper nutrition in my mouth, it's not going to matter. You can go and work
Right.
out,
So
work out,
it's
work out, and work out.
I think the first thing I want to mention, and this is probably just because I've been teaching for so long, is as an educator, we don't use the term diabetic anymore.
Oh, well,
Diabetic
that's
is
good to know.
it's very labeling. So like when you kept
Oh,
saying like don't eat like a diabetic, especially because my first 10 years were working with kids, like that's sort of like, you're a person that happens to have diabetes, but you're not a
I
label
like
of
that.
diabetic. So, but we should all eat like someone who has diabetes because it's a normal, healthy, balanced meal that can help us all sort of be carb aware, and you don't have to be a perfect carb counter. You just should be um, eating with a healthy mindset and being able to just to know basic nutrition. So that's kind of what we're going to focus on today. Um, Even with people that use GLP-1s or any type of meds for diabetes, whether they have diabetes or not, and anybody uses anything to help with weight loss, you still need a foundation of diet and exercise. So I think today, starting with that is a good a topic to focus on. So a lot of people think that diabetics have a forbidden food list, like never eat this and never eat that. And that is long gone, over 25 years ago when it was called the diabetic diet. That's been gone. So it's literally called consistent carbohydrate meal planning. That's what the American Diabetes Association, it's evidence based. It's This is what we use to keep our blood sugar level all day. And again, whether we have diabetes or not, it is very helpful to sort of eat 3 meals and maybe one or two snacks. You shouldn't be going all day without eating. That slows down your metabolism. We shouldn't be overeating and eating, just for 4 hours a day, and the other 20 we're not eating. Like, all of these things have come and gone. And because we know just eating normal, balanced, consistent, heart healthy meals, a lot of what I use is through the Mediterranean diet. It's not a diet per se, but it's sort of a good, some rules, if you will, that are, if you think about the Mediterranean Sea, those countries around the Mediterranean Sea are the lowest incidence of chronic disease in the world because they eat out of the sea. So they definitely eat, again, I might have mentioned this in the past, but more fins and less feet and feathers. So we literally want to eat more fish and seafood and greens and veggies and legumes and things that that's the foundation of it. Is I think here in North America, we eat so much red meat, like burgers and steaks and pork and, a lot of poultry like chicken and eggs. And we just could eat more fish and seafood, things like salmon and shrimp and tuna, and a couple days a week, some poultry. And then 2 days a month should be red meat. So I think that's more for saturated fat. That's more for just, again, we don't want to clog our arteries. So, and a balanced meal is half your plate is veggies. The other quarter would be your protein or meat, about the size of palm of your hand. And the last little section on that plate is your carbs. So the days of meat and potatoes, half and half of your plate, that's for portion size. Just use the plate method. It's super simple. So veggies for fiber. Second, you're going to eat your protein slowly. Cut your food. Talk to your family. Put your fork down between bites. Chew your food. Take your time. Um, the last thing you're going to touch is your carbohydrates. The reason is your fiber and your protein, your fat can sort of block your stomach and intestines so that the sugar's not going straight in, or the carbs. Carbohydrates just a fancy word for sugar, by the way. It's not going straight in. And our own gut hormones in our small intestines, GLP-1 gut hormone, actually help with your insulins. It helps it to work better, helps to slow down gastric emptying. So what happens for anybody eating slow and methodically is you tend to eat less carb. It takes 20 minutes for your food to get to your brain. If you eat your carbs last, you're not going to have your rice bowl up here going like this, and 20 minutes later you've finished 3 cups and you're going, oh, I ate too much. So it works a lot better to slow down and eat methodically. So that's a strategy. It's something we can all do. It's something simple to think about. And it's eating a balanced, healthy, all the nutrients. We don't want just protein. I know people push and push and push protein, protein, yes, we need them to build muscle. But we do need carbs to think, and we need carbs for energy, and we need carbs to be able to function every day. It's our body's preferred source of fuel. So just having all the other nutrients like fat and protein and not eating carbs, you're just not doing yourself any service, because you're going to make your metabolism slow down, and your body's looking for energy. And what if it doesn't have enough energy? What if you don't get carbs in your cells? It's all going to accumulate in your midsection, and you will develop the FUPA, the fatty upper pubic area. So, yeah, and it doesn't have to do with just how you're eating or what you're eating. It's your metabolism, it's your hormones, it's your activity levels, it's your age. There's many things that affect your metabolism, but sometimes on social media we hear, just push protein and water and walk and do 10,000 steps, and you can do 7,500 steps one day, or you can do 5,000, and you can lift weights one day, and you can rev up your metabolism, and in fact, I'm kind of getting off the topic of food, but lifting weights, which I've also been mentioning to Brenda for quite some time, does help you to burn more calories and rev up your metabolism. So sometimes when we lose weight, our engine slows way down and it's waiting for fuel. It's adapting to less calories, but keeping your calories up and actually keeping yourself with, keeping muscle on there is really, really important too. So,
I can tell you, Lynn, that for me, the hardest thing for me to do was to adjust slowing down my eating.
mhm.
I was
Me
always in a
too.
rush.
I'm a
I was always
nurse,
in
so
a
it's
rush.
like we've always eaten. Historically, I know my husband can look at me and say, "You're done?" Like, we just all sit down and yeah. So I always ate way too fast. And
Especially as an event
yeah.
producer, I was always eat on the
Yeah.
go, run, run, run. What's an easy, fast, healthy snack? Sometimes it wasn't healthy, but it was always fast. And
Hmm.
so now Randy's a very slow eater. I'm a very fast eater, and I have had to train myself that I will not finish my meal before my husband. And this was just painful because I'm like, how can he eat so slow? Because I would shovel it in.
Hmm.
And also, when you're a kid and you're getting ready for school, and how many times do we say, hurry up, eat your breakfast, and then you're going to be late, you're going to miss the bus, you're going to whatever, miss your ride. We live in such a fast-paced life that it's very easy to overeat
And
because
finish
it's so
everything on your
fast.
plate because there's starving kids
Oh,
all over the world.
if I heard that once, I heard that a million times. And then what did I say to my kids? Of course, because we've heard it. Every kid grew up in the 60s, 70s, 80s. We've all heard that. Eat your food. There's starving kids. We all heard it. But I think the biggest thing for me was understanding the half the plate veggies, palm sized protein, and then the carbs. How many times, even 10 years later, I just was at boot camp Lynn for a week, a couple of weeks ago in Florida, and she's like, you need to eat more carbs. I'm like, I was conditioned to have more protein, less carbs. And that's
Well, it's
just
all over social media. Are you getting your protein? Are you getting your protein? Yes, you can focus on getting enough protein at every meal, but you do have to have a balanced plate, and all the nutrients so that you're not malnourished, so that you do have energy, so you can think clearly. There's no sense eating so little that your basal metabolic rate gets so slow that then you can't keep losing. So to keep losing, you want to do everything you can to keep your metabolism revved up, and that's eating consistently throughout the day, making sure you don't have more than a 4 or 5 window ever between meals, like having a small snack in there, making sure that snack is some carb and some protein. So when we talk about numbers, an average female should get at least 30 grams of carb at each meal. And I know some people would go, whoa, that's way too much. 30, 30, and 30. Honestly, a half a sandwich and a small fruit the size of a tennis ball is 30. I mean, we would give our kids much more in their lunchbox. We don't need to starve ourselves or eat, way less than a 10-year-old. I mean, that makes no sense. So we do need to eat, some carb at each meal, and in between, maybe a 15-gram snack. So an average typical female might have 30 to say 45 if you were really more active some days. And for males, 45 to 60 if you're more active. And again, I always hear backlash. That's too much for me. That's too much for me. But if you go too low, you're not going to sustain your weight loss.
oh, I've got
Water.
the. Sorry, yeah, and I don't have any in here. Sorry, wasn't prepared. um, I Another thing that I've learned is aside from just portion control and eating slower, was that carb piece that I found that when I actually listened to my best friend Lynn. And actually, when you are an active person, as I am, if you're not consistently getting enough calories, all we're doing is slowing down our metabolism. Like, how many times did Lynn say to me, Brenda, you're not eating enough? Brenda, you can go out for all those 5K runs you want, but you're not eating enough. And when I started eating more, the ironic in my head is that when I actually started eating more and nourishing my body, not just for that energy source, but like actually enjoying my meals and eating more, I was choosing healthier things. I was losing more weight. And I shouldn't say that. Could I probably say I was losing fat?
So that's a great point. Some people lose weight really quickly, and if your body's stressed, or if you're not absorbing nutrients because you have maybe um, your bowels are moving too much, or whatever the case, if you have water loss and you're way under with calories, you don't store as much water in your muscles, so you definitely will weigh lighter. And you'd think, oh my gosh, this week I lost 2 pounds, that's great. But it doesn't mean it's necessarily fat loss. So fat loss is different. That's when we're burning calories and we're eating 500 calories less per day, and we're trying to have a little bit of a calorie deficit. That's when you'll lose. And you shouldn't always be losing. Sometimes you might be maintaining with the same calories in a week. Sometimes you might be gaining a little if you're on vacation with a little bit of extra calories. And sometimes if you've burnt 250 calories walking and ate 250 calories less snacks, you've actually then have a 500 calorie deficit. At the end of the week, that 3,500 equals 1 pound of fat loss. But it won't always be 1 pound every week or 2 pounds every week. It will go slowly when you're doing it right, because you don't want to just crash your metabolism. You want to have a little bit of fat loss, about 1 to 2 pounds a week max. When people tell me I lost 15 pounds last week, that is not sustainable, obviously. Now, if someone has a huge calorie deficit, I do have some patients that come in and they were literally drinking like huge bottles of soda, ice cream every night, cake, like they had so many calories that even taking away half of those snacks, they would lose kind of drastically initially. But again, that's not how we want to maintain and keep it up. We want to slowly, eat the right foods. And if it's a dramatic shift where someone, tells me I lost 10 pounds this week because I was walking 15 miles a day. I mean, that's too extreme, and you can't keep doing that. So you want to find um some structure, but things that you can continue to do and not, you know, I think for a while even I was, working out last year a little too much. I was going 5 to 7 days a week, lifting, and not seeing much result, just because I was probably inflamed and I had a little more cortisol doing all that, and maybe not sleeping as well and a little more stressed, and work was happening. And so I think there has to be hormones that are level, but there also has to be a plan and a strategy. You can't just go on willpower. Willpower does not work. You have to have a strategy. So that's for the gym, that's for eating, that's for, when you buy food, did you buy enough protein for the week? Different types of salmon, seafood, fish. Did you buy a little bit of poultry, a little bit of turkey? Did you make sure you have some carbs available? Some brown rice, some sweet potatoes, some sometimes we use even some, high fiber wraps. It can be whatever you like, but again, it's just a balancing act. So once you get the balancing act and the strategy, and you are consistent, you will not necessarily lose for 3 or 4 months, even 1 pound. I experienced that last year. Um, I was going, but when you're going to the gym a lot, sometimes you're building still muscle. So you're holding more, again, eating and right and doing everything right. You do have to rev up the metabolism. It can take some time. So it's consistency, it's being patient, and I call it the 3 W's: more water, more walking, and a winning attitude, which is decompressing and unwinding and making sure. I know during COVID, our gym closed for a while and I had to walk outside, and I found I was actually losing more weight walking every day than going to the gym. But again, was that a lot of fat loss or was it just less water in my body? But over time, it didn't really stay off as well. So that's why building muscle can keep it off a little, keep your metabolism revved up longer. So yes, many ways to lose weight, but how do we lose body fat to keep it off? That's kind of what the focus should be. What is sustainable? What routine can you do and keep doing? So, there's a lot of people that for 6 months are super active and, do marathons or whatnot, and then they have an off season where they're not as active. And I think now in our 50s, we just need something that's sustainable and doable and that we enjoy. I think that's the main thing. If you find something you like, you're going to keep doing it. If you are just hating it, you're not going to do it.
Why do you keep saying it like that? Okay, just okay. Let's just call it what it is. I absolutely hate
Let's
doing
talk
weights.
about the
I'm
elephant in the room.
okay.
I'm almost talking to you
25
again.
years, 25 years she's been telling me to do weights. I consider myself a pretty muscular person for I'm an almost granny. However, I hate doing weights. I hate it. I I find it boring. I don't like it. I've done it a handful of times with Lynn. Okay. So last time was in 2017 when I was in Gordon's gym in their garage that they turned into a home gym. I just don't like it. However, I do love running and walking and doing this. So I do what I love to do, but I know I need to do the weights. So here's my
Even
accountability
if you can
piece.
do 2 to 3 days of 20 minutes at home, resistance training is okay, but even strength conditioning where you're actually progressively getting stronger is even better. So it's not just for your metabolism, it's not just for your body composition. It's really so that we can live longer. So studies show that as we get older, if you don't have bone density and you're not lifting weights, you can have a fall and be, in the next 6 months, you can die. I mean, falling and not being able to get up and walk straight and walk, with your own legs. It's really important more as females because we have more incidence of osteoporosis and we don't have as much estrogen as we get older. It's
Okay,
really important.
okay, okay, okay,
I want you to
okay.
live a long time and be able to carry your grandbabies and
Okay.
skip with them and
I
hop with
this is
them
my
and
accountability piece is that I'm going to put it out here that I promise by the time I come back next Sunday for this recording that I will have at least done
Hmm.
twice. Oh, good.
2 days of 20 minutes. I will send you the workout. 2 days. There was a time during the pandemic that I would call you in your basement. You would pick up the weights and do it with me. But 2 days. And as an exercise physiology major, I know you know what to
Blah
do.
blah. No, no, no. It was not exercise physiology. It was kinesiology, which is, exercise physiology is one of the other courses that I hated in my degree. However, kinesiology, which is back it up, it's now called kines. It used to be Bachelor of Physical Education and Recreation, which, you know, I should know. I do know this. Doesn't mean
Yeah.
I like it. Doesn't mean I
No,
still
I
don't
understand.
like it. I
It's
don't like it. I
not,
don't like it. But I will do it. I will
yeah.
because I can't deal with the harping. It's just easier for me to do it for the 20 minutes twice a week than to listen to you next Sunday go,
Well, if we're going to tell everyone else kind of what works, let's like practice what
all
we preach.
right, all right,
I mean,
I'll walk the talk.
because
I'll
I
talk
talk
the talk.
diabetes all day long, I do find that I have to kind of do my, 30 minutes of walking at least, and I have to at least drink my water, and I have to get my 3 W's in there, which again, those are things you can all focus on. For this week, more water, get your 64 ounces, get 8 cups minimum. More walking, at least 30 minutes, 5 days a week. That's 150 minutes a week. 150 minutes a week minimum, not for weight loss, not for anything other than just your heart. Your heart beating, your muscles, probably the most important muscle that we need to work is our heart. So you've got the cardiovascular part down. That's great. That is the most important thing. 80% lower risk of reducing your risk of heart attack and stroke by doing 150 minutes of cardiovascular activity a week. So when I tell you pump your heart because your blood vessels will move more, you're not going to have an occlusion. You're not going to have a blockage with no oxygen getting to your heart or your brain. So maybe we don't think of that as much in our 50s, but people have heart attacks and strokes in their 50s, 60s, and 70s. And we need to work that heart every day. So 150 minutes a week. So we're going to do more water, more walking. The winning attitude is easy. Okay, that's taking time for yourself, decompressing each night, unwinding, getting a good sleep, a good 7, 8 hour sleep. We have to keep that cortisol needs to relax at night. It can't be ramped up. Your blood sugar goes up, your stress hormones go up, and all hormones we make work against insulin. So we do need to get a good, restful, peaceful sleep. So you want peace and harmony in your
Okay, Lynn. Okay.
life.
Okay.
Um. All right. So we are at 25 minutes. So what do you
Okay.
think, Bren? Anything,
I
any other
think that I
questions?
have my work cut out for me, and I think that these are some great tips to get people started. Because I mean, my journey's been, well, 35 years long, but 10 years since I was diagnosed. But for 3.5 decades, I've been chasing healthy, and I finally feel that I'm getting there. Clearly, I will be rock solid with an Arnold Schwarzenegger butt by summertime if I start doing my weights and these damn squats that you want me to do.
So
So,
everyone start small this week. If you do not lift any weights, 2 days, go on YouTube, 2 days this week, do home workout, wall push-ups, air squats. I mean, it's been shown 10 squats every hour at your desk is going to lower your blood sugar even. So everything I'm saying again, even though it pertains to diabetes, it also is useful for all of us. So there's, it's from the American Heart Association. It's also from, again, universally, we all need our heart to move more than any other muscle really. And that's, like, again, you've got that down. So, and now let's just work our muscles a little more, and we'll get more next week into some other topics, but hopefully this gives you something to start with.
amazing. Well, thanks, Lynn. Always appreciate your lecture. No, I'm just kidding. No, I do appreciate you knowledge sharing and giving us the strategies that we need and the reminders that we need when we think that we got it, but we still don't got it. So I do commit to doing some in-home workouts that include the W word.
I have 75-year-olds that
Fine.
I
No.
will say go online and do the sit and be fit exercise, whatever you can do.
Yeah.
And hopefully if you got, I mean, we did unpack a lot this week, but the three W's obviously, and then just a strategy, just have a strategy and be carb aware and be have balanced meals and be what I like to say is just mindful eater. It doesn't, you don't have to be you don't have to be perfect at anything, but being mindful helps. So, all
And
right. Well, it
slower.
was, huh?
And slower. A
And
slower mindful eater.
slow down your eating, take your time. All right. Well, it was great chatting. So we'll see y'all next week.
Yeah, and together we will fight the fupa.
Woo! Okay. Bye.
Bye.